are live again for the third section of this Instagram session, a research marathon. And we have our next group of speakers now who will step up. We are going to talk in the next session about possible concepts for more biomimetic implant restorations. And we will start with Dr. Elisa Oderich and Dr. Louis Boff. And this is amazing because, you know, this research is extremely important. This research is really about, you know, the future of implant restorations. What's the future of implant restoration? Is there a way in which we could make implants more biomimetic, in the sense that implants are, you know, rigidly placed in the bone, and they are also restored most of the time with rigid restoration, ceramic, zirconia. And so we are just, this section here is a concept section, okay? So those are in vitro studies. We don't have in vivo data yet. So I want to tell everyone who's listening, this next section is a concept section, possible concept, things that needs really to be researched more and maybe come to the clinications. It is not yet applied clinically, really, but these are very important concepts for the future that needs to be optimized and investigated. And so I will start to introduce now Dr. Elisa Oderich and Louis Boff. So Elisa and Louis are both in Florianopolis, state of Santa Catarina in Brazil, and they teach at the Federal University. Elisa in 2003, Louis in 1990, and you know, they were in my lab in 2000, and it was such a pleasure to work with them. Elisa and Louis, I am so thankful about you, about your beautiful family. When you came as a couple to you, and now you have beautiful, and you are absolutely amazing. I am rejoice really when I see your kids and your family, and I'm ready for you. The stage is yours. Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you. Now go ahead and share my screen, yes?
Yes, go ahead, Elisa.
Thank you. So I guess it's almost after there. It's afternoon. So good afternoon for Brazilian friends. So good morning for you, Pascal. Hi to everyone. First, I had to thank you, Pascal, for accepting us as your visiting scholars at USC in 2009, 2010. We were blessed, and I got tears on my eyes, and I remember that year. It was wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity, for sharing with all the results so far, and to be with this selected group. Thank you. I also want to thank Professor Antônio Carlos Cardoso, who might be watching us. He opened many doors for us, and also especially introducing us to you and being with us as our PhD mentor. I also need to thank Federal University of Santa Catarina for supporting us all this time. So thank you. And watching us this afternoon with us. Thank you. So our topic today is focused on applying biomimetic approach to implant dentistry. And when we talk about that, we have to think about the main difference between the two and the implant. And we see that the absence of periodontal ligament is the main difference between those two elements. And once the implant is inserted into the bone is going to attach to the implant surface, and it's going to be like an enclosed tooth, a rigid union, a rigid surface, without any resilience, without any shock observation, and with a very rigid set. Implant and implant have two abutments, the prefabricated and custom abutments. But at the time, we had just those two types of abutment to work with. And on top of this abutment, we'll have single unit implant supported restoration, usually made of ceramic. So this was the way we think at the time. Then 10 years back. So parameter guide us in biomimetics. We will focus especially on biomechanical properties of the materials used on the abutment and the restoration itself. So that's our topic today. For us, I think thinking differently at the time. Studies with gas first one, and she evaluated the fatigue and failure of novel design and restoration. So what did they just copy a real case Pascal has done in using ceramic metal and type 3 veneer, and they copy this metal ceramic abutment into zirconia. So they asked Straumann to help on this. They send a pattern and they copy and transform in zirconia abutments. 24 zirconia abutments was used in the study. And once the zirconia abutments got at USC, they directly replicate those 12 ceramic veneers, those 12 composite resin veneers that were bonded together using a strict bonding protocol, using sandblasting with cold jet. Then the parts were cleaned and put in the ultrasound bath. And once the zirconia was dried, they applied 2 coats of Z prime, gently air dried, light polymerized, and then the veneers and were prepared and they weighed adhesive Z100, preheated Z100 as the bonding agent. So once the sample was ready, was finished and polished, they wait 24 hours and then they load it in the fatigue in MTS machine, 280 newtons, a total of 140,000 cycles. Looking to those failure modes, according to the failure modes we saw, then we had more friendly failures with the composite resin veneers, although they didn't have any difference in the survival rate. So that's the first study. It was performed lab, and then we got in USC 2009-2010, and Pascal asked us to help on this second study that was about copying the zirconia abutment into maybe a more resilient abutment. How would be a composite how would be like a composite resin abutment. And you might be thinking, oh, how they did it back to 2010, available in the market. We didn't use adhesive restorations to bond a non-retentive abutment at the time. So that was something very new for implantology and implant dentistry at the time. So we first copied the zirconia abutment into a composite resin metal abutment that we would say today a hybrid abutment. And on top of this hybrid abutment, we bonded 14 ceramic years following exactly the same design of the study before. So how we did it? As we didn't have any T-base available on the market, we had to ask Straumann to send us a temporary abutment, which we cut down using diamond bars. And then we customized the internal surface, turning very smooth and without any angle. And T-base, custom T-base was fabricated. We use Serect3 to correlate with the prior study, copying the zirconia abutment, and then we generate a mesostructure that was milled into composite resin blocks, Paradigm MZ100 at the time. Once this mesostructure was bonded on the top of this T-base, we could then correlate again with the Maria's study, using the same format and the same shape and the same materials, ceramic and composite resin veneers, to bond on top this hybrid composite resin metal abutment. So the bonding protocol followed the same sequence. We use sandblasting with cold jet, all the adhesive surfaces, and then we clean, we use ultrasound bath for 2 minutes and a half, and then we etch the porcelain, the glass ceramic, and then clean, we use also, again, ultrasound bath, and then we silanate, we let the silan evaporate for more than 5 minutes. You use Optibond FL as adhesive agent and preheated Z100 to bond those parts together. Just to clarify and as a time frame to understand what he has done, we just bond the mesostructure into the T-base that we fabricated manually. And then we bond the veneer on top of this composite resin metal abutment, hybrid abutment. We wait 24 hours and then we load in the accelerated fatigue test. And from 40 newtons to 280 newtons and or until it fractured. And once the fracture occurs, then we analyze under microscope the failure mode of those restorations. That was what it has been done. And then, just as a curiosity, this T-base were not available. So a couple of years later, Straumann, I think it was 2013, Straumann launched in the market the T-base they produce now that is called Biobase. And since then, many other colleagues has been using this T-base they produce. So as according to our results, we figure out that Paradigm C bonded to hybrid composite resin metal abutments presented a higher survival rate, a higher survival curve, around 21%. And we had all the samples stored with composite resin in composite resin metal abutments has broken. And when we did the pool data with the prior study, when we pulled the data together from Maria's study and our study, we see that both abutments did a similar performance on this fatigue accelerated test. Those abutment has the same performance. So that's the end of my section about the anterior area, and I would appreciate if you could wait a little bit and see what's going in the posterior area with Luis. Thank you again for your audience, and thank you, Pascal, so much for your invitation. And now you follow with Luis' presentation.
Thank you, Elisa. Thank you. Welcome, Luis. I think there is
So,
perfect continuity between you. So, Luis, go ahead. The stage is yours.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Pascal, for the invitation. It's amazing to be here. It's amazing to be part of this group and be able to be here presenting for all this audience. Following Elisa's presentation, in the second part, I will talk about the biomimetic, or we're trying to applying biomimetic on the posterior area. I'm going to show two articles that we have published. The first one was published in Clinical Organ Plant Research in 2011, where we tested the fatigue resistance on zirconia abutments in posterior area in two designs, a crown and an onlay. And we built, when we bonded on those restorations, on those abutments, 15 restorations, 15 ceramic restorations and 15 composite resin restorations. For be able to develop this experiment, we asked for Neodent, the Brazilian plant company, to make us, to build for us some zirconia abutments. They produced them based on a prototype we made at USC Lab in 2010. After that, we built some composite and ceramic restorations on the CEREC Blue Cam, where the restorations design and dimensions were under control to be able to compare those samples lately. Once the restorations were done over the zirconia abutments, we bonded and we followed the adhesive protocol. First, in the zirconia abutment, we sandblast and etch for cleaning and apply the zirconia primer, the Z prime, for light cure for 20 seconds. After that, on the ceramic restorations, we etch and we sandblast, etch and cleaning. And on the composite resins restorations, we did the same, except by the hydrofluoric acid that is missing in this. For luting, we use the OptiBond FL and the preheated composite resin, and we've finished. And after cementing, finishing, and polishing, the samples were ready for loading. So we went to the MTS machine, and following the staircase protocol, we load all samples. Different from Elisa's presentation, the anteriors, we went with higher load in posteriors. We went to 1,400 different. On the anteriors, when we use like 140 newtons. And in this case, it takes about 8 to 10 hours loading. So as a result, we can see the outstanding performance of composite resin with no failure. While the ceramic restorations, only 33% of them survived after the fatigue tests. It's important to say that up to 600 newtons, all samples survived, and the composite resin as a resilient material appears to make the difference in the restoration in high loads, especially over 1,000 newtons. So when we analyze the failure mode, we see that in the composite resin, there was no failure, all survived. And in the ceramic one, there is partial or total failure, as you can see in the pictures, and no abutment fracture, no screws loosening on the test. The fourth article, we went beyond. We built a composite resin, or at the time, and now a hybrid composite metal abutment and we copy the ceramic one, and and we tested the fatigue resistance of these hybrids restored with composite resin and ceramic. And we published this article in Geonomy in 2014. This experiment is basically the same. We work with 30 onlays and 30 crowns, where we bonded 15 ceramic and 15 composite resin restorations. Some this experiment because we have to build up the mesostructure. So we went to Cerex Bootcamp again, and in the correlation mode, we copy the ceramic abutment and build what we called the mesostructure. This mesostructure was milled in composite resin and bonded over a metal link with the bonding procedure. Like we sandblast with courgette, use OptiBond FL, and preheated Z100 composite resin. Once the abutment is ready, we bonded the restoration. So we bond composite restorations and ceramic restorations over those hybrid composite abutments. The samples ready for loading. So we did the same. We went to the fatigue machine and load for 8 to 10 hours. Once we have the test done, as a result, we can see that there was no difference between the groups. But one thing that we need to point is that all samples survived up to 600 newtons. That is the maximum bite forces. But when we compare the material, when we compare composite resin and hybrid abutment, that the composite resin went parameter. It's the same behavior in the previous with ceramic abutment. The composite resin appears to work better or to make the difference at high loads, where, as you can see. And the failure mode, it was different in this experiment because there was no restoration failures. We saw what we saw. It was adhesive failure between the restoration structure together. We discussed T-base for this experimental or something different, something is not so bulky as this solid abutment. Maybe we could have had better results even for this for example. To summarize all the experiment, we can say that if we compare, if you compare the restorative materials, we can say that composite was better on zirconia abutments, as well as composite was better on the hybrid composite resin abutment. This is a nice result for the composite resin. And when we compare the zirconia abutments, the two groups, it is like 120 samples. When we take all the composite resin and ceramics that we have done on top of the zirconia abutments and compare with all composite resin and ceramic restoration that we have done over on top of the composite resin abutments, we see that the better. The importance of the study is not only the result we have accomplished. Inclusion of the composite resin as a restorative possibility, inclusion of addition is inclusion of a non-retentive design on the was a big usual is basically the our daily practice to use the retentive prep implants. It was not at that time. And you said this study uh, is these are employees to think outside the box. The box is the best way. Great, okay. Thank you.
Exactly like you just said. I mean, this is just thinking completely different, and it is not clinically popular yet, you know. But I think the idea of having a damping restoration, something that can compensate, or titanium abutments are the golden standard in the posteriors, but definitely it's, you know, I like the idea of the composite as a, like my dear friend and colleague Francesca Vailati in Geneva, she says composite is a bit like a tire on the tooth, and every so and so you change the tires, right? The composites wears off, composite is more compliant, composite wears off, and so how composite will wear off. It's like when you ask your tire guy, how long are my new tires going to last, right? And what is going to tell you? It's going to tell you it's depending how you drive. And it's depending how the patient is going to use those composites, right? And the system, the wear pattern. Thank you so much, Luis and Elisa, for this research. It was really a pleasure to have you. And I'm going to introduce now our next speaker in this segment. And I'm going to show you now Dr. Ivan Molina. Where is Ivan? Here is coming. Again, Luis and Elisa. Again, with Ivan, we look at maybe looking at bilaminar histoanatomic assemblies of CAD/CAM restorations. This is what Ivan is going to talk about. Ivan lives in Morelia, Mexico, where he is practicing. Ivan was in 2014, and yeah, it's a very talented clinician. And here's Dr. Ivan Molina. The screen is yours, Ivan, to share.
Hey. Thank you, Professor, for this fantastic program.
We lost connection with Ivan. Let's see if he's coming back. All right. Ivan, my friend, don't abandon us. Let's see what's happening. Ivan. 2 seconds for Ivan to return. Okay, you know what? We are going to skip Ivan for now. And I see the smile on Maya's face. Maya, are you ready to join? Yes, great. So let's
Sorry.
So are you staying with us?
Yes. I am here. I am ready.
The weather is too nice outside and you want to go have a walk? No, I'm teasing you. Go ahead. We are waiting.
Okay.
Share your screen.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you, Professor, for this amazing, exciting, fantastic opportunity. It's a really exciting to be here with this incredible and amazing biomimetics group. It's a true dream to be able to share with you and the whole team this time. Thank you for making it possible. And well, I will present in English and Spanish. Okay, ready. Del grupo Biomimetic Research. Hoy les presentaremos algunas de las investigaciones que realizamos en el laboratorio del profesor Pascal en la Universidad del Sur de California. Es grandioso poder compartir con ustedes a través de redes sociales lo que hemos podido hacer durante nuestros años de formación académica. Este es un resumen de la carrera que yo tengo. Soy dentista general, tengo una residencia en prótesis, tengo un máster y un doctorado en implantología. Fui visitante en la Universidad del Sur de California junto con el profesor Pascal y el último año tuve la oportunidad de estar en la Universidad de Indiana realizando algunas cosas con el International Team for Implantology de Straumann, o conocido como ITI. Nuestra investigación, el nombre de ella es Accelerate Fatigue Resistant of Novel Design Histoanatomic Implant Restoration Made of CAD-CAM Bilaminar Assembly. Es un tópico muy interesante sobre restauraciones sobre implantes. Y el punto central de nuestra investigación fue la filosofía biomimética. Nuestra idea era imitar la apariencia natural de un diente y encontrar soluciones que fueran inspiradas en la naturaleza y llevarlas a la implantología. Tuvimos como idea poder realizar una restauración como la están viendo en la pantalla en la parte inferior derecha, que fuera bilaminar, dentina y esmalte, que su estructura fueran materiales parecidos a estos tejidos. Y decidimos utilizar Lava Ultimate para reproducir la dentina, ya que tiene una resistencia a la flexión de 204 megapascales, y el disilicato de litio para el esmalte, con una resistencia de 360 megapascales, ya que buscábamos reproducir los tejidos dentarios y trasladarlo a restauraciones sobre implantes. Nuestra segunda idea fue realizar un cutback a la corona y hacer una mesoestructura para emular las propiedades ópticas del diente natural, como se ven en las fotografías superiores, dentina y esmalte, utilizando algún tipo de stains como una segunda investigación. De hecho, Maya va a hablar en el siguiente periodo sobre este tipo de restauraciones. Y solo para entender un poco más la resistencia a la flexión, vamos a colocarlo en un lenguaje más simple. Vamos a convertir rápidamente los megapascales a kilogramo fuerza, ya que generalmente nosotros entendemos por kilogramo, por peso, que sería aproximadamente de 1 para 1. Lo que significa, por ejemplo, que Lava Ultimate resiste 20 kilogramos fuerza por milímetro cuadrado y el disilicato de litio tendría alrededor de 36 kilogramos fuerza por milímetro cuadrado. Mientras mayor es este valor, mayor será la fuerza que soporte este material. Hablemos de las hipótesis ahora. Nuestra primera hipótesis fue que complejo de un esmalte como una técnica adhesiva iba a ser comparable a una mesoestructura. Nuestra segunda hipótesis sería que no existen diferencias entre los grupos bilaminares comparado con restauraciones monolíticas. Nuestros materiales y métodos fueron restauraciones atornilladas sobre implantes y lava Ultimate de la casa 3M, disilicato de litio conocido como IMAX de la casa Ivoclar, y un punto a considerar de materiales y métodos fue nuestra técnica adhesiva que utilizamos para cementar. También utilizamos el sistema TEREC para poder estandarizar 60 cosas de manera que no existieran variaciones entre todas las restauraciones. Realizábamos un cutback para la carilla, intentando crear estas características ópticas del diente natural. Se crearon 4 grupos. Los primeros 2 eran restauraciones monolíticas. El grupo A fue disilicato de litio, el grupo B fue lava Ultimate, y los grupos C y D fueron las restauraciones bilaminares, donde el grupo C tenía una mesoestructura de lava Ultimate y una carilla de disilicato de litio. El grupo D tenía una mesoestructura realizada de disilicato de litio y una carilla de lava Ultimate. Para la técnica de adhesión sobre los T-Base, el primer paso realizado fue proteger con cera la conexión del T-Base con el análogo. Después se realizó un sandblasting, se limpió con ácido fosfórico. El ácido no cumple su función de grabado sino de limpieza. Y después se lavó, se secó y se le aplicó un primer. Este primer fue evaporado, se colocó una capa de adhesivo y se cementó con la resina Z100 de la casa 3M. El protocolo para las cerámicas y las resinas comenzaba con un sandblasting, después con una aplicación de ácido hidrofluorhídrico exclusivamente para la cerámica, no se utilizaba para las resinas. Se lavaba, el siguiente paso era limpiar con ácido fosfórico, lavábamos de nuevo, se colocaba en un baño de ultrasonido, se aplicaba silano, lo calentábamos para disolver el solvente, aplicábamos adhesivo y por último precalentábamos la resina en un calcete y se colocaba la resina sobre las mesoestructuras y las carillas para posteriormente cementarlo. El test de fatiga fue hecho por una máquina del sistema MTS. Fue realizado por pasos, iniciando con un precalentamiento de 100 newtons, seguido de 150 newtons, 200 hasta 450 newtons, que fue la carga máxima para los cuerpos de prueba. De nuevo vamos a convertir rápidamente a kilogramos fuerza por milímetro cuadrado para que sea un poco más fácil de entender. Y se aplica la siguiente fórmula. Dividimos 100 newtons entre 9.81 newtons, que es lo que equivale a un newton, y nos da el resultado. Por ejemplo, 10 kilogramos de fuerza por milímetro cuadrado. Un paciente en el sector posterior tiene una oclusión promedio de 400 a 800 newtons, lo que significa que tiene una fuerza de 40 a 80 kilogramos por milímetro cuadrado. O sea, realmente es mucha carga. ¿Cuáles fueron nuestros resultados? El mejor grupo se comportó con cerca de 415 megapascales de fuerza antes de su fractura, alrededor de 42 kilogramos de fuerza por milímetro cuadrado, lo cual para un diente anterior es una gran carga desde el punto de vista de resistencia. Veamos los resultados completos. Nuestros resultados del grupo A tuvieron un promedio de fractura de 381 newtons con una tasa de sobrevivencia del 26% de los cuerpos de prueba. El grupo B, del grupo Lava Ultimate, presentó una fractura a los 347 newtons de fuerza y ningún cuerpo de prueba sobrevivió al test. Ya los grupos bilaminares del grupo C solo pudo soportar una carga de 313 newtons y ningún cuerpo de prueba sobrevivió. Recordemos que el grupo C fue una mesoestructura de lava con una carilla de disilicato de litio. El grupo D fue una mesoestructura de disilicato de litio con una carilla de lava Ultimate, soportando una carga de 415 newtons, sobreviviendo cerca del 33% de los cuerpos de prueba. Podríamos concluir que la carilla de lava ayudó a la mesoestructura de cerámica, haciéndola más la carga o el estrés. Esto podría abrir un panorama muy interesante para diferentes investigaciones en el futuro. La mayoría de las fallas en las restauraciones ocurrió por una falla cohesiva, lo que significa que la falla fue del material. La adhesión entre las interfaces de los materiales fue correcta. La falla adhesiva ocurrió entre los T-bays y las restauraciones, pero ninguna de las carillas sufrió una fractura. Tampoco sufrió un daño en el borde incisal, lo cual nos da la posibilidad de trabajar con diferentes materiales y con técnicas adhesivas. Las fracturas fueron muy parecidas como sucede en un incisivo central, de manera oblicua hacia el cíngulo. Y esto puede ser por la presencia del T-base y el acceso al tornillo, donde encontramos una menor espesura de material. Este tema ya lo va a hablar más adelante Yair y Rafaela en sus investigaciones. Nuestra primera hipótesis fue rechazada, ya que sí existieron diferencias entre los grupos bilaminares, siendo que el grupo lava fue el más débil. La segunda hipótesis fue correcta, ya que no encontramos diferencias significativas entre los grupos monolíticos y los grupos bilaminares. Cabe mencionar que 3M sacó un comunicado retirando la indicación de lava Ultimate para restauraciones completas. Este podría ser un punto importante. La relevancia clínica podría ser que este tipo de restauraciones puedan ser reparables, podrían funcionar como un mecanismo de protección, limitando la cantidad de estrés del implante o posiblemente reduciendo el estrés alrededor del hueso. El punto número 2 es que este tipo de restauraciones adhesivas no retentivas abren una gran puerta a todos los dentistas, cirujanos o técnicos dentales respecto a la posición del eje del implante y el diseño de la restauración, pudiendo ser utilizado en pacientes con un limitado espacio mesiodistal o una apertura oclusal limitada también. El tercer punto se trata de imitar la reproducción de un diente natural, dentina y esmalte con diferentes materiales. Es una técnica que puede ser aplicada para todo tipo de restauraciones con materiales que absorban carga, basados en adhesión y que permitan ser menos invasivos al diente. Esos fueron nuestros resultados y la relevancia clínica. Pudimos publicar este artículo en International Journal of Aesthetic Dentistry en el 2017 y me gustaría agradecer a todas las personas que contribuyeron en este proyecto, a Antonio Carlos Cardoso, a María Paula Paraños y Marcelo Silva, mis grandes amigos, a Jad Goldberg, a Rafaela Cid, agradecerles a ellos por ser parte importante durante mi estancia en Los Ángeles, en la Universidad del Sur de California, y a las empresas por donar su material, a David Hidalgo de Ivoclar México, a Sergio Bernardes de Neodent Brasil, a Luis Adrián del grupo Bamasa en Ultraden México y a la Casa 3M de los Estados Unidos. Antes de finalizar, me gustaría compartir también con ustedes este artículo que lo publicamos con el profesor Pascal acerca de morfología. Realmente abrió mi mente para otra odontología, porque entendí que el que no sabe morfología difícilmente podrá hacer una restauración. Fue un concepto que yo escribí basado en una idea del profesor Pascal con la colaboración de Panos Vasos y tengo mucho orgullo ya que fue traducido a 3 idiomas, uno de ellos fue el japonés, y ya que los japoneses son reconocidos mundialmente por su manejo en la morfología. Entonces me dejó realmente una gran satisfacción. Y por último agradecer al profesor Pascal al abrirme las puertas de la universidad, de su laboratorio, de su casa y de su vida, a una persona tan pequeña como yo, del profesor. Estoy agradecido con la vida por haberme cruzado contigo y tengo orgullo en decir que eres mi mentor. Muchas gracias, Pascal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ivan. Thank you, Ivan. We are So sorry, there was a little problem with the screen. Uh, there was a little square, a little rectangular area on the screen that we could not eliminate, unfortunately. But I think, Ivan, we could see enough of your presentation to enjoy the content, and really it's so important to understand those new possibilities, Ivan, about bilaminar CAD/CAM restorations. Now, the idea of milling two parts and assembling together those two parts, I think is absolutely groundbreaking, because the tooth is made of two parts, dentin and enamel. And so, yes, we need those two parts. Can we unmute your microphone, Ivan? Yes, here we are. Yeah. Yes. So thank you so much, Ivan. Really, really nice. And we appreciated the Spanish and subtitle was really, really cool. Thank you so much. And we will take a break now before our next speaker, because we are going to run out of time. I don't want to start the next presentation without breaking and assuring that we will have enough time for the next session. So stay tuned. We will continue our review of the possibilities and new concepts with more biomimetic implants. Thank you, guys, and see you soon. Okay. Ivan, I tried to stop you, but you could not hear me. Are you still here, Ivan?
I see right now. Sorry.
I tried to say, Ivan, we have a problem. And then because I knew it was a recording, I said, if I stop you, what's going to happen? I didn't know what to do. So I consulted with Marco and he said, you know what, we'll let him go. But you didn't see this, the rectangle?
No, I don't see. Just right now.
I didn't know what to do. I was removing my last hairs, you know, because I tried to interrupt you. I said, hi, Ivan, we need, but obviously you didn't hear me.
No. Yeah. Oh. Sorry for that. I don't see any message.
Yeah,
I just see my screen.
Someone tried to call you to tell you. Okay, that's okay. Don't worry. We'll go on with Maya, okay? Don't worry. I mean, the same number of participants were still there. So there's no, it didn't prevent people to watch a presentation. I think you made great with the Spanish speaking people anyway. So we are all good. Okay, guys, show me your pictures there. Why are you hiding your camera? Don't do that. Please, show your picture. Come on, Daniel, Graciana. Go, good. Okay, so we are going back live. Okay, thank you. We are going back live. All right, here we are. We are back live with the Biomimetic Research Talks. We are in our fourth segment now. We are starting our fourth segment. We just heard those beautiful speakers here, Dr. Oderich, Dr. Boff, Dr. Molina, introducing new ideas for implant restorations in different parts and bilaminar constructions. And now we are going to continue on implants with Dr. Chmielewska, Dr. Sid, and Dr. Rodriguez-Ivich. And let me introduce Dr. Chmielewska here. And Dr. Chmielewska is in Gdansk, Poland, a beautiful city. I was so privileged to be able to visit Gdansk a few years, several times actually, I should say several times. And it's an amazing city. And Maya, a beautiful, beautiful place where you live. I can't wait to come back. And you have amazing parents also, and your dad is also a famous dentist, Christoph Chmielewski, and you are going to tell us, Maya, about composite resin bilaminar restoration. Let me tell you that Maya graduated in 2016, so she is really fresh out of the factory, out of the dental factory, and at the Medical University of Warsaw. And as soon as she graduated, she came to LA to do her research in my lab. She worked very closely with Dr. Adriana Carvalho. We had an amazing time there together. And where are you, Maya? Go ahead and share your screen, my dear.
Thank you very much, and good day and good afternoon and good evening, everybody. I'm in Europe, so for me this is already 9 p.m. It's not the morning anymore. I'm so blessed to be here, and I'm so happy that I can be here with you and share this afternoon with all those amazing, inspiring people. So I get out of some clinical situations using such simple solutions as colorants. Why that is relevant, I want to show you with a case that I didn't do perfectly. If I had to redo it, I would change it a little bit, and I will explain everything to you in a second. We had this patient whom, after a lot of dental treatment, ended up in this situation where she needed to exchange her central incisor, tooth number 21 in European numbers. And how we typically proceed with such procedures after the healing period, we would take an ELAB picture for the color calibration and communication with our lab. And the protocol was developed by Sasha Hein. I highly recommend it for really, truly possible measuring of the color of your crown before you deliver. And we have a lovely, lovely technician in our team in the lab who did a great job, both Paolo Venturini and Nico Squicciarini. They do beautiful, beautiful crowns. The crown was made on a zirconia abutment with Willy Geller creation. However, we weren't able, after 4 or 5 times, to achieve the result that would be satisfying for the patient. Now, the problem was that as long as the patient was in the office, as long as the day was cloudy, as long as she was laying down on the dental chair, everything seemed perfect. The problem began when she went outside, the day was sunny, and she took a picture of herself on the beach. And suddenly this beautiful central that you can see here, which I think was take number 3 out of 4 or 5, suddenly it looked like a discolored endo-treated tooth, like a completely gray, terrible, terrible mistake. Now, of course, as you can imagine, the patient was quite depressed with that result, and we had to do something about it. The problem was that the more we repeated, the more we reached just the same result. Even if we had hit the delta E, so the measurement of really, really, really fantastic comparability of the color, it didn't work in the mouth. What is behind it is the metameric properties of our materials, and also the way that light goes through the ceramic material and through the composite material. So what we've decided to do, as you can see here, the ceramic crown doesn't look so bad. This is another take of the same crown. On the ELAB picture, it looks almost perfect. However, in real life, when the patient took a picture of herself, it was a nightmare. She came back every single time we delivered a new crown, and it was truly a big problem. I can't show you the face picture of the patient because of the broadcast on the media, but believe me, those cases happen, and we really didn't know what to do. So my last take was that I've tried with composite. And as you can see, this is a crown that I've made freehand on the chair side. I've layered freehand on chairside restoration. The crown isn't perfect. It's too gray by the gingiva. It was made of CeraSmart composite from CAD/CAM block. Why it's gray is because the block was a little bit too translucent for our type base, and I really didn't believe that I can achieve a good result in this case. So I didn't follow the cutback underneath the gingiva. That's why the layering starts around the area of 1/3 of 1/3, and that's why the cervix looks gray. Fortunately, she doesn't have a gingival smile, which allowed me to escape this, and the incisal edges look perfect when she goes out in the light. Now, this really shows how we had to move around this case and how we had to find another solution. So now I want to tell you a little bit and show you a little bit how you can use those CAD/CAM composites in your dental practice and how you can stain them easily so they are more applicable for your use. So our research program with Pascal in the B12 lab included testing a lot of specimens. One group was full contour specimens and two other groups of each of the blocks that you can see on the screen, which was Lava Ultimate by 3M, Shofu Block HC by Shofu, and Serasmart by GC, where all of them, the specimens were cut back, and then one group per each of the specimen contained veneered specimens just with the composite on the buccal, and another group contained layer of stains between the veneering composite and the blocks themselves. As you can see, we had quite a good standardization. That's the main and first thing that I've learned in Pascal's lab, is that research is not equal to research, and you really have to pay attention to how it was done, because with research you can prove any result that you want, but it doesn't mean it's very applicable. Here with the standardization that we've had, with the groups that we followed with staining, we made just a little bit of stain on the incisal edges of blue mixed lavender from GC OptiGlaze Colors. That's our mix for giving a little bit of this translucency on the incisal edge. And how the protocol followed is regarding the group with stains. It was sandblasting with Rockatec, then ultrasound cleaning, silane application, twice for 20 seconds, air dry, then heat dry in 100 degrees for 1 minute. After that, we've applied the colorants on the edge, bond, and on the bond there was the veneering composite made and pressed every single time with specific molds for each block. For the group without the stains, it was basically the same, just without. As you can see, that's how our specimens looks afterwards. We always light cured the specimen with glycerin to block the air inhibited layer, and then we've waited for testing our blocks for at least 24 hours for the composite to stop curing. Our standardization in the machine was also fixed on a contact point, so that we've managed, before we started the testing, we made pre-tests so that we had the same repeatable shape, the same repeatable breaking pattern. That was very important for us to try to have the breaking pattern of incisal edge chipping. We wanted to mimic that. That's why we focused on this kind of a design where we have a small point of contact and we focus on accidental edge chipping. Our testing machine is the same that you've seen many times before in the presentations today from MTS. We call her lovingly Mamita. It's a beautiful destruction machine that helps us to do all the research that, that you've seen today and that you will see in a moment. And the breaking pattern, as you can see, we've validated both with the pre-tests and we've validated them along with all the recordings of our specimens. We were looking for this kind of small chip on the incisal edge that would be just right for us to check the chipping if it happens between the layers, as for the colorant failure, or does it happen inside the composite or inside the block. Our results were quite surprising, as we didn't really see, for neither of the blocks, a substantial or important with, okay, now I'm missing a word. We haven't seen a difference, statistically significant, to our blocks, neither for Lava, neither for Shofu, and neither for Serasmart, with all of the groups that were compared between layering and staining. So it didn't really matter if we have applied the colorant between the layers. It allowed us to achieve much better result in the clinic. It allows us to achieve this 3D color dimension and natural result, which will not cause the colorant to wear off fast after the restoration is delivered. And it doesn't influence the strength of our restoration. What we've also checked is we've compared those between the blocks. There was also no significant difference here with regard to the initial failure. The final failure depended strongly on the type of the block and which material the block was made of. Here, the strongest one that we found was Serasmart. However, all three of them, Lava, Shofu, and Serasmart, always failed above strength and above the occlusal forces that we would expect physiologically in the mouth. With that, I want to finish. I want to thank Pascal for organizing this event together with Marco, together with Merdad. I want to thank him as a leader and as our fantastic mentor and a push forward for each one of us. The same to my sister, Adriana Ubaldini. And Adriana will also show you some amazing results of her research, as I've spent the whole year with her in the lab, and I can tell you she's an amazing person, fantastic researcher, and a true sister to me. So with that, I want to thank you very much. And
thank you, Maya. Thank you. Very good job. Very good job. Maya is, dentistry is only one of her passions. She's also singing. She is very nice, and she's writing songs. And very, very nice, Maya. Thank you. Very good job. So you see, yes, those the advantage of those composite resin block is the ease of characterization with or without stains. Actually, as you can see, the strength is not. That's really interesting. What I will keep from your research is really that the inclusion of stains and colorants in between those layers does not affect the strength of the restoration. Really good job, Maya. Really appreciate the effort. And a big hug to your parents and to your dad, of course, and especially because I know he's an amazing clinician, and you have a wonderful office there in Gdansk, amazing city. Wow. Thank you, Maya. So with this, I'm going to introduce our next speaker now, and we are still in the field of implant restorations. And we are with Dr. Rafaela Sigi. Rafaela, here she is. Let me see her video. Rafaela lives in Viseu, Portugal. You live now in Portugal, Rafaela?
Now I am in Brazil because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Here in my city, we are locked down now.
Yes, so you are locked down in Brazil, but you live in Portugal, right?
I am, there and here.
Yes, your life is beautiful in between Europe and South America. What is amazing. So, Rafaela, she was in my lab in 2014. She studied at the University of Ibirapuera. Do I say it well?
Yeah,
and,
perfect.
And you defended your, you work also at the Catholic University of Portugal, right?
Yeah, I did the graduation there too.
Exactly, and so Dr. Antonio Carlos Cardozo, right?
Exactly.
Exactly, and so Rafaela, thank you for doing this. You are going to tell us about composite resin crowns, because again, we've seen that composite materials are really making implants restoration more compliant, but I let you explain, Rafaela. Thank you.
Okay, my class is sharing, right? Is it okay?
Yes. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, let's do it. So, good afternoon to everybody. Good night to the European and good, wonderful noon to my mentor. My name is Rafaela. Pascal already told you, so I will talk about modify abutments and CAD-CAM technology with composite crown. So when you get in your office, I really like patient that is really with everything, spaces, interdental spacing, interocclusal spacing. It's okay, you can treat that patient with a prefabricated abutment, and also you can treat this patient with screwed metal ceramic. But if you get a patient without space, with extrusion tooth, with the occlusal part all collapsed, sometimes or most of the times you can get this kind of approach. You have to think about another kind of approach. So, here, when you think about excellence in an implant-supported rehabilitation, most of you will think about metal ceramic crowns, because this kind of treatment is already established in the clinical, right? But in our days in Los Angeles, no one wants gray spots. No one would want dark things in the peri-implantal tissues, right? Everybody wants white, everybody wants aesthetic. So a lot of actors, a lot of scientists, a lot of researchers begin searching about metal-free crowns. But this kind of all ceramic materials normally, and when it have a failure, normally is a catastrophic failure, and you have to redo the treatment all of the beginning. Okay, so now I come here to talk about CAD-CAM, and we will talk about Lava Ultimate. A lot of you will be like, oh, you will talk about Lava Ultimate crown, but 3M doesn't indicate anymore this kind of material to this kind of treatment. But the thing is, we are here to stimulate you guys to think about other materials, other technology materials that we have in the market. You don't have to think only about metal ceramic crown. Come on, this is in the past. You have to take the new materials and put in your office. So Lava Ultimate is a really great material. You have to listen about this material. It have a wonderful resilience. It's not friable. The wear resistance of this material is really great. The aesthetic is awesome. It has a high flexural strength and a factor toughness, awesome too. So this kind of composite crown, it's not really composite crown. It's a matrix of resin with spheres of ceramic, nano-ceramic. It's kind of 80% of nano-ceramic particles. These particles will be zirconia, will be silica, will be both together. So when we talk about biomimetic principle, we are talking about something that will mimic the natural. You will give a treatment to your patient that you will do something really close that he had before he lose his teeth, right? So talking about clinical implication, what this kind of material will have good to I indicate to my patient, which kind of difference this material will make in my life, my professional life, right? So this material, it have a flexural, it have a damping behavior. It will like compensate all the rigidity of the structure that is an implant supported restoration, because the implant doesn't move in the bone. The implant is bonded, is also integrated in the bone, right? And you put a abutment that is screwed in a ceramic a metal ceramic crown. So when you put this kind of material, you will have a little bit of compensate, because he will compensate a little bit the abscess of the periodontal ligament, right? So another thing really good of this material, you can, like, if you like customize, modify your abutment, you will have more space to do a better aesthetic, to do a better morphology, and to place everything better in your treatment. You have more success, I think so. So the purpose of this work that I did with Pascal was evaluate the design, change it, design it with CAD-CAM bonded crown, this kind of CAD-CAM, this composite lava CAD-CAM crown. We thought about doing these three kind of groups. The first of each group, it's have like 70 specimen. And the first group, we have a control group that was the one that is manufactured normally by the company. And the second group, we did a reduction in the axial part of the abutment, okay? Not in the higher, just in the axial part, 1 millimeter. In the third group, the slim short one, we will do reductions in the axial part and also in the occlusal part, okay? So axial 1 millimeter and occlusal 2 millimeter. I just have to remind you that the regular abutment, he have 0.5 millimeter of cementation area. So we don't change it, the standardized diameter of the abutment, okay? So this part I will not keep here, because all my friends just told you about protocol, like CAD-CAM, catching the picture, and then doing sending the data to the milling, to the CAM, and then doing the treatment, the surface treatment, sealing, bonding. We do the bonding with composite, restorative, that is MZ100 in this case, polymerization, air blocking. Don't forget that, it's very important. Finishing, polishing, and if you, any of you want this protocol, I can send the article, and you can like send me an email, a WhatsApp, and then I can give you everything that you need, okay? And then we did the fatigue test. The fatigue test was the same that my friends told you guys. It was increased loading, and begins with 200 and finish with 400, and cycles was 17500, okay? So this I can send to you to everything. If you want to do something, some kind of research that is like that, I can help you. So let's go to the results, that is the interest part of the research. When we see the first data, that is the survival rate of the groups, the first one that is a pre-manufactured abutment, it with the milled crown from the CAD-CAM, because you will have the abutment and you will have also the thickness of the composite crown, okay? So it's both together being analyzed. So the first one, you will have kind of half of the survival rate of the crown. The second one, what's the worst scenario, you will have 70% only, was really bad. In the slim short, the third one was really awesome. You will have like 80% survival. Going to the cycling loading, at the left, you will have the average of the loads of each group. And at the right, you will have the cycle average. So the regular, it was kind of okay. You have 1,900, okay? So the slim short, you will have like all the specimen load until the last loading, okay? And also the last group, slim short, it went really close, the average really close to the last cycle. It was really, really, really awesome, the results of this research. The slim was not too good because we if you think about that, you will put in your mind, if you did the milling in the axial part, what will happen? That will be like a point, like a sharp surface, and then will break your crown really, really easy. So talking about statistical significance, you will have like all the group with statistical significance. Okay, so this graphic I already told you, and then let's focus in the type of failure. And the slingshot is in the front again, because you can see that slingshot, it have the it's not the best, it's the last worst failure. That is a kind of cohesive failure. It's a kind of failure that you can restore in your office. You can try to don't lose this rehabilitation. And another failure you have to redo for the beginning, okay? So this is very interesting. The survivor specimen show a wear surface really close to the natural teeth. And then you will see too a crack that is really, really similar to natural tooth. So this is just to you see how this material is awesome. In the pilot test, we load like oblique force, oblique loading, because implant doesn't resist oblique loading. And you saw that it broke the neck of the abutment, the Titan abutment was broke, and the crown was all right. So I did some cases in patients. The conclusion is slingshots showed the highest survival rate. The sling abutment was the worst. And when you customize, you modify the abutment, you will have more space to work in the morphology, in all the static of the restoration. So very quickly showing a clinical case that I did in my office. At that part of the research, me and Pascal did the abutment, a solid abutment, and then my patient, we talked about that before. Look how is beautiful this material, how is aesthetic, and we talked about doing abutment that you can take away, so you can do like a screwed, cemented crown, so you can like make a hole, access the screw, take off and remove all the remaining cemented composite, anyone that you use in your office. So I did this guide to also compensate the oblique tooth, the inclination of the natural tooth, and to do the modified abutment so I can see better, and you will not have like impact of food of your meal that will give you peri-implanted stuffs, and it will not be better to your implants. So here you will see the abutment that you can do a screwed cementation, restoration to take off and clean everything, okay? So I want to thank all the company that support that work, and thanks everyone that was involved, Pascal, Antonio Carlos, Hayes, that did all the statistical part, and all the part that the institutional part of the government of Brazil that gave us money to make that happen, and more companies that always support Pascal research and that believes in science. And if any of you want to talk about more about this kind of subject, you can send me an email. And I want to thank Pascal. He is one of the most wonderful human beings I met in my life. It was a pleasure, and I always pray God and thanks to put him in my way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rafaela. Thank you. It was really interesting to see, you know, we really need research to investigate how the design of the abutment influences the behavior of those composite resin crowns. We know that clinically they are very challenging, and we don't want to abandon the idea because of the bad original results, you know, of composite resin crowns on implants, and we want to keep investigating. This is the goal of this research, is to keep investigating how we could have those more compliant implant restorations. Thank you so much, Rafaela.
Just to know, I didn't have in any patient that I treat with that kind of approach, I didn't have no crown debonding. I didn't
that's really interesting, Rafaela, that you say that, but you know what? You bonded them. I'm sure you bonded them very well. And that's the point, you know, the composite resin crowns, they need the best bonding possible.
Yeah.
And if you know how to bond, of course.
Magnet bonding.
Exactly. It's not about cementing. You cannot cement them. They have to be bonded.
Right.
That's the point. Right. Thank you, Rafaela, for adding that. Very important. I really appreciated Rafaela. I remember all the time we spent together at the university. You know, she helped me move my office. Rafaela, you remember?
Yeah. With Santiago and my friend. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Rafaela, it's so good to see you again, my dear. So stay tuned. We are going to move to our next speaker now, and he's our last speaker about implants. And then after that, we'll take another break, and we want to keep investigating those flexible implant restorations. Again, we are going back to the anterior dentition with Dr. Jair Rodriguez Ivich. Jair, let me pin your video so we can see you better. Hello, Jair. How are you?
Hello, Pascal. Hello, how are you doing?
Todo bien en México. Me gusta hablar poco de español contigo.
Todo bien, todo bien.
Todo bien, con Iván y Jair he podido mejorar mi español. And both Jair and Rafaela, we have our common friend in Florianopolis, and I don't know if you are listening, Antonio Carlos Cardozo. You are, Antonio Carlos, who is now enjoying his retirement life. He was teaching implant dentistry and occlusion at the University of Santa Catarina, Florianopolis, and we had so much great time back in Minnesota when I was doing my PhD research. I met Antonio Carlos, and then he sent me all those wonderful people. Antonio Carlos was the connection point, you know, for Jair, Rafaela, and Ivan to come to Los Angeles. So let me tell you a little bit more about Jair. He lives in Guadalajara, Mexico. I was so blessed to go there one day. It was, oh, what a nice city you live in, Jair. It's beautiful. And he's a private practitioner. And he came to my lab quite recently in 2018. So Jair, thank you. And God bless you. You have the screen now. Please share your screen.
Thank you. Can you see my screen correct?
Yes, Jair, you are all good and it looks perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Pascal, for this great opportunity. It's a great honor for me to be part of this research team. I am so honored to be also presenting in this fabulous meeting. as you said, I did my PhD in 2018 with you. I live in Guadalajara, Mexico, and it's a great honor for me to be here sharing my work with you. So in 2016, I had a chance to start my PhD in the Federal University of Santa Catarina in Brazil. And in 2018, I could continue my PhD degree in the University of Southern California. So in these two universities, it was where I held my research. But none of these would have been possible without my amazing mentors. I am so honored and so blessed to have them in my life as mentors. Not only mentors of dentistry, but only mentors in life. We had shared a lot of moments, amazing moments together. Professor Antonio Carlos from Brazil, he introduced me to Pascal. And of course, Professor Luis Narciso Bariatieri, who is an amazing mentor, and he introduced me to Antonio Carlos, right? So everything starts by meeting Professor Baratieri. And of course, my great mentor, Pascal, is a great honor. As I said, I have no words to thank them what they have done for me. And I also want to recognize the people, my friends, my brothers, who had been really important so that I could accomplish this journey of doing my research. I want to thank Junino and Shohei from Japan, Abraham Moratelli from Brazil, who helped me a lot, also doing my statistics. Of course, Daniel Suarez from Spain, who helped me to gather some of my materials. Of course, Fabio Cameracana from Italy. We've done some great cases together. And Juan Felipe from Colombia. Of course, Merdad Rezaghi, who is also a part of this research. And Joaquin from Dominican Republic. And of course, from Mexico, Alberto Sierra and Blanca Nieves. I am so grateful with them because they really supported me through all this time. And what I would like to share in this moment with you is a very simple approach, a very simple method to restore implants. I've been taught by Dr. Antonio Carlos to keep my life simple, to keep my dental practice as simple as possible. So with these 4 pieces, we can achieve amazing results in our daily practice. So this is the name of my research I'll be sharing with you today. And right now you might be asking, why did you choose this material, or how did you choose this material? We have listened by the previous speakers, something about it, but I wanna make a quick detail. First of all, how and why did I chose this implant? Actually, when people ask me, Dr. Jair, what is the best implant to use? What is the implant you recommend us to use? This is a very difficult question because actually there is not an absolute answer for this, because we have a lot of dental implants in the market. So if I have to answer this question, I would answer as Dr. Esposito said in 2014. He concluded that there is no evidence showing that any particular type of dental implant had a superior long-term success. And he evaluated 38 dental implant types. And there are a lot in the market. So I would suggest to you to use the one that work better in your hands. The other answer I would tell you is what Professor Antonio Carlos would teach us. The best implant is the well-positioned implant. So, because there's a big discussion about conical implants, conical connection, or internal connection, or external connection, it's a big discussion. We will never get into any conclusion. Many people would prefer one type, other people would prefer the other type, but actually I find this suggestion the best. Well-positioned implant. So you can use the implant that better works in your hands, the one you prefer. The next thing we're gonna see is the abutment selection. Why did we choose a titanium abutment? The answer is the following. In previous research, we make a comparison between zirconia abutments and metal abutments. The ones that you are watching in your screen are the zirconia abutments. As you can see, there's a lot of irregularities in the connection. Some abutments have a well-adapted connection, but some others are not well-adapted, and this can be a big problem. But if I show you metal abutments, you would be able to see a better adaptation of the metal abutments, titanium abutments, right? So in this research we did before, we concluded that pre-machined titanium abutments show a better adaptation into the implants and smaller microgap than the zirconia abutments. And we can translate this, hopefully this could be published soon, and we can translate this in avoiding screw loosening and avoiding screw fracture. So that's why we chose a pre-machined titanium abutment. Now, for choosing our crown, we chose these two materials. Lithium disilicate, it was furnished by Ivoclar, and Shofu block, which is a hybrid composite block from Shofu. Why did we choose these materials? So, if instance, you have a case like this one, when you have to restore teeth and implants, you can use the same material. If you want to make veneers or crown, you can use the same material to rehabilitate the implants too. So since you use the same material, your dental technician will be able to use the same build-up material. I know this very well myself because I make the dental ceramic of these kind of cases. So when I discovered this technique, it was a life-changing for me. It was so nice. It was so good for me because I could use more time doing other things. I could save more time, and it was amazing. So look at the final result using the same material for restoring the veneers and the implant restorations. So I published this article in 2017 talking about this, talking about how versatile we can restore some of the cases using the same material, either lithium disilicate or either hybrid composite resin. Is your preference? So this is an example of a clinical case I did with my good friend Abraham Moratelli from Brazil. So first of all, we bonded the ceramic restorations, veneer type restorations in the natural teeth. And then we bonded and screw retained our implant restoration. And this is the final result with only 4 pieces. It is very easy, it is very simple, because if you have less pieces in your puzzle, it is easier to finish your puzzle, to complete your puzzle, right? So the least pieces you use, the easier it is. And this is the before and the after. Look how nice blended it is, the implant restorations with the veneers. And look how nicely the tissue responds. Even though we use a metal abutment, we cannot see any shade or darkening of the tissue. It is so blended so nice. So now that I've shown you the clinical results, which are really nice, really amazing, now I want to explain you a little bit of the research. So we chose our titanium abutment, right? But one was long abutment. The long abutment was 6 millimeter high. The short abutment was 4 millimeter high. They were both restored with lithium disilicate and hybrid composite resin. And this is how our specimen looks. Our specimen is ready to put in our electrodynamic machine to load. But if you look carefully, we have an axis in the palatal area. This axis helps us to remove easily the bonding agent. We can bond it, then we can unscrew it out, we can clean our restoration and put it back. And that way, our implant restoration will be free of bonding agent. Our tissue will be protected. So now that our specimen is ready, we're gonna submit load into this machine that my colleagues had already presented to you. This is how our specimen looks ready to be loaded. Fully at this video so you can see how strong this restoration is. Look how it bends, but it's super hard, it's super reliable. Look, this was a short abutment restoration. Look how amazing it was. So in the results of this research I did, look how high the load was. In our first group, which was lithium disilicate bonded into long abutments, we went up to 809 newtons. This is amazingly strong. So you cannot have doubt if this restoration will work or not. And the least strong restoration was the fourth group, the group where we bond hybrid composite resin into a small abutment. But still, even though it was the least loaded specimen, it is very reliable for dental use, for dental practice. So in between these groups, there was no significant difference, only in comparison between group 1 and group 4. But look how interesting what happened to our abutment. We didn't have any abutment fracture or any screw fracture. We only have bending of our abutments. Clinically, we can see that the long abutment was more bended, but we are not sure because we are only looking clinically. But right now, we have done more research that we have to prove if we can use again this bended abutment or we have to change it. We still don't know the damage. So that's why we are doing further research of this. But I have to tell you, we call this kind of restoration bonded screw retained crown. It's an amazing restoration. I really encourage you to learn more about this kind of restoration because I am sure it will help you in your daily practice. I want to congratulate all of my colleagues who had presented because they've done a magnificent research and presentation. I am so honored to have them as also classmates. And most of all, I have to thank to my dear mentor, Pascal, that he had taught me a lot of things and also to think out of the box. Pascal, I have no further thing to say. I just want to thank you and God bless you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Jair. My gosh, very, very beautiful presentation, Jair. So much wisdom in your words. You know, I like what you said, you know, simplicity. And the result of your research is amazing because we were able to identify the deformation of the abutment, right? It is stronger, but then we have permanent deformation of the long abutment that is stronger, but with a price to pay, which is the permanent deformation of the abutment. Anyway, yeah, all those restorations behaved way above what is expected, right, in terms of strength and physiologic loading. So it's very encouraging. I want to remind you all, Jair is not only an amazing dentist, he's an amazing dental technician. And if you check out his publication, my gosh, it's been such a pleasure to work with you, and God bless you, my friend. Thank you for this amazing presentation. Guys, we are going to take a quick break. We will come back in a few minutes, okay? So I'm going to stop the session right now. Don't go away, we have some amazing stuff coming up. Thank you, and see you soon.